for not biscuits. 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
People might.
Oh well.
I mean, we're live.
Hello and welcome to Those Aren't Biscuits, episode 104. I am one of your hosts, Jonathan Cadotte, and with me, as always, is the other one, Owen Adams.
Hello, how you doing?
So, if you are new to our podcast, we are a pop culture podcast / live stream now, where we talk about everything from comics to music to movies to television to politics to cartoons to food things. Oddly enough, we've never really talked about biscuits, though, and we probably won't. So, welcome, one and all. We will be getting into it shortly, but just a little bit of housekeeping. Every once in a while, we will throw ourselves to the chat, ask some questions, and interact with you guys. But for the most part, we will be generally talking to ourselves, or amongst ourselves.
Pretty much.
So if you're trying to say hi and everything like that, and we don't respond right away, we apologize. But this is also recording as well.
And if you're listening to this on the recording, screw you. You don't get to say hi at all.
Yeah. Get bent.
Love you, loyal listeners from before we were live.
Yeah. You Johnny not come latelys.
Johnny not come latelys. Yeah. Johnny hasn't been around much lately.
We don't talk about Johnny. Damn shame what happened.
Johnny, no!
Do it for Johnny. So, that being said, how you been, Owen?
Oh, not bad. Had a little bit of a interesting event last week where I went to, with a friend, to go do a recording of an old video game. As people know, I am the host of a video game channel, and a friend proposed to me that we would do a...
When's the wedding?
Saw that coming. A playthrough of Medieval on the PS1. You remember that game?
Oh yeah, with the little guy, he would sort of like lose body parts and shit.
Yeah.
Right.
I haven't played it in well, I've never played it before myself, but I haven't even thought about it in a long time. But the guy I'm recording this with, who you may remember from my YouTube channel, if people are familiar with that, Just Lenny, he's been in...
come on, he's more than just Lenny. He's your Lenny.
He's very fond of that game, so he's got a lot to say about it. And the idea was we'd go and he would play through the game and we'd sit and chit-chat with it. We recorded it, first 3 episodes. We recorded it all in one go, went great. We recorded about 6 episodes worth. We sat and talked over about 6 episodes worth. We recorded about 3 episodes worth. So I'll be doing that again next week. That will be coming up on the channel soon. British Gamer fans.
So basically what you're saying to me is you're cheating on me.
Well, I mean...
Is that what I'm hearing?
I've been doing that for a long time, but, yes.
Owen, you have some explaining to do.
But it got me thinking about kind of old PS1 games. So I've been thinking about replaying those a little bit. I've only ever tried to do one on the channel before, and it was deeply disappointing, which was the old PS1 Spider-Man game. And that game hasn't aged well. The one I really want to play is Bugs and Taz Time Busters. That was a good game.
That Medieval, they really kind of tried to make that like clearly Crash Bandicoot was their mascot game.
Yeah.
But I remember Medieval trying to be one as well.
Well, he was he made it into the PlayStation the PlayStation All-Stars game they did a few years ago. You remember that? It was Smash Brothers, but PlayStation.
Yeah. But it played weird.
Medieval?
No, just that game in general.
PlayStation All-Stars, it's awful.
Yeah.
It's genuinely a really bad game.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was one of those things where you would play, and kind of everything you would do didn't mean shit unless you got your like super meter filled first.
Right.
Because once you did that, you won. You like won the damn game.
It's funny because
So
like Smash Brothers can feel like that at first. Because with Smash Brothers, your opponents don't have health bars, but
right,
the more damage you inflict on them, the more vulnerable they get to a knockout of the arena. I think they were going for that. That feeling where you'd pick it up initially and you'd be like, oh, so it's not like another fighter. You've got to do the goal isn't just to grind down their health. But yeah, you can just wail on people for hours and nothing happens in that game. It's a bad game.
yeah. Oh man, it's been actually kind of a slow week for me over here. Well, actually, that's not entirely true. We actually had kind of a big event last night
Oh yeah?
here in America. The Super Bowl happened.
Hmm.
Yeah, and no, not a single bowl was to be found. So we'll just get that out of the way.
What? I don't get it.
Oh, everyone always likes to make that stupid joke where it's like, oh, it's Super Bowl. I don't get it. There's no bowls. I don't know why they call it the Super Bowl. I don't know. I don't care. It's an American football game, all right? The big one, the big championship game. And
Also, it's a really terrific bowl. Ha ha! See, I was waiting.
See, yeah. That's what I was trying to get out of the way. I was trying to preemptively counteract that stupid joke.
Why is it called the Super Bowl? Like,
I just said I don't know, Owen.
oh yeah, but I don't listen to you when we record these.
No, I really don't know why.
I would really love it if when the Super Bowl kicked off, they had all that hype, and then they just went and played bowls.
Oh, like lawn bowls?
Yeah. Because I don't know how it is in America, but that is the sport of old ladies.
Oddly enough, people don't really play lawn or bowls on the lawn here. We have bowling alleys.
Oh sure, but that's a different game. That's 10-pin bowling. That's totally different.
Sure, why not? I'll give you that.
Lawn bowls is more like curling without the ice.
Right. It's kind of like we've had this discussion before. It's like the hell's that game where you throw the little white ball and then you throw the bocce. It's like bocce ball. Right. But no, the Super Bowl kicked off and it's kind of a big event every year, and they've it's kind of become an event for people who don't even like watching sports all that much. They've like added things to it. One of the big deals about the Super Bowl is that this is, the Super Bowl is easily one of the most watched events on television every year. Honestly, unless it's like a campaign season, the Super Bowl is sometimes the most watched thing every year. And
it's kind of depressing.
So this is, not really.
I mean, it's just a bowl. I would never have thought to make this joke, right? But because you got off by pointing out how much this joke annoys you, I'm loving this.
No, you would have made this joke regardless. Don't pretend otherwise. It's just a classless thing that's right up your alley.
I don't know. I think you must be thinking of someone else.
But no, this is always a time of year when advertisers really go all out. They put up their best commercials, and it's become a thing. Like if you go to YouTube, they have like the 2017 ad blitz where they just have a playlist of all the commercials.
Oh yeah, I know. There's this
come on.
A trailer for Stranger Things series 2. It's gonna be good.
Yep, I watched that, and yeah, but funny thing is, right before we started streaming, we did say like, oh, we're gonna avoid politics. too bad. There was some controversy with some of the commercials this year.
Were they advertising
noticed.
for a new president?
No, not quite. So as you know, we are currently in this sort of debacle of a travel ban over here.
Yeah. Travel ban.
Right.
Traveling while brown ban.
Right, basically. So there was two commercials, which ironically enough came from Coca-Cola and Budweiser.
The
These are
two most Muslim drinks in America. Those biased
Well, no,
fucks.
These two companies like basically make up 75% of what the South drinks. Like, it's like Budweiser.
The 25% is the blood of the innocent.
I was gonna say water. I was gonna water for like living purposes, but so Coca-Cola had this commercial, which is actually a repeat from last year. And remember last year when this came out, there wasn't much talk about it.
Wait. Because I remember Coca-Cola getting a controversy for one a year or two ago. Might not be last year, but what year was it where they had everybody was going mental because they had the American national anthem but in other languages? You remember that one?
No, okay, all right. This was the same one, but it's not the national anthem. All right.
Because the one I remember, it was something like it was a patriotic song, sung with
right. It's a song called "God Bless America."
Right.
God bless America.
Right. So
that I love.
So I remember this happening, and I remember on Twitter it exploding with people saying that it was not American to sing God Bless America in other languages. So there was a bit of if it was the same one, there was some controversy over this last year as well.
So yeah, it was the same one, all right. But
Fair
this
enough.
time it got a little bit more crazy, all right? Because they showed the same commercial, and suddenly all over Twitter it's #ban Coke, which I didn't think people really had that sort of anti-cocaine stance, but whatever. The other one,
Pepsi executive spotted leaving Trump's office.
New Pepsi slogan: "Make America Pepsi again." Yeah. So the other one was from Budweiser. Now, over the years, like Budweiser has kind of positioned itself as being sort of the drink of the beer of America.
Well, they
right?
changed their name to America the other year, didn't they, for like a marketing stunt?
Yeah, pretty much. But they've always positioned itself as being America's beer, and by far they are the most popular. I mean, it's a cheap kind of crap beer, but it's
yeah. No, I mean, if you're gonna drink piss, might as well buy Budweiser. It's everywhere.
Right, or Stella Artois.
Yeah, they're both pretty terrible.
Yeah. But yeah, they've always kind of had this position of being like America's beer, and they've always done these sort of patriotic commercials during the Super Bowl. There's kind of an infamous one right after 9/11 where they did one and then never showed it again, and then all proceeds from that week or whatever they donated. So they've always been kind of like, we're for America. And I don't know. It seems to me that the commercial has enough production value to it that I don't think there's ever a chance that they made this commercial in response to the travel ban.
Right.
Or really anything at all.
They'd have had to make it pretty fast. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if they wanted to, they'd have to throw this thing together really fast and There's no way they did that because
Right.
this is a pretty intricate commercial. The commercial basically gives a brief recounting of how one of the founders of the Anheuser-Busch brewery, the ones who make Budweiser, came to America. And it shows him, oh, excuse me. It shows him like on this like big ship and showing up, and right away you hear someone, "You're not wanted here."
And 6 weeks into the voyage, they run out of water, and he pisses in a glass bottle. and when things get really bad, he's forced to drink it. Thus, Budweiser was made.
My God, I can sell this. I can see it now. Millions upon millions of overweight Americans drinking my piss. My piss.
I would love it if that was the slogan. The slogan of Budweiser from now on. Budweiser. And then a little italic font underneath. I can see it now. Millions and millions of overweight Americans drinking my piss, buddy. A whole platoon of frogs doing it a syllable at a time. I can see it now.
So it shows him and then he ends up on traipsing through the woods with his other group of immigrants, and they're all their bags over their shoulders, and then it shows him on a river boat, and the river boat catches fire, and he has to jump off the boat, and the boat fucking explodes. This intense shit, right? And he ends up in this muddy wasteland, and someone's like, "Oh, welcome to St. Louis," and it's really it's well made, and it just shows this guy getting beaten down every step of the way, and finally he finds himself in this bar, and he just has his head down, and this other guy's like, "Oh, you," with a heavy German accent, just like, "Oh, you don't look like you're from around here," and like, "Would you like a beer?" And he buys him a beer, right? And the guy looks up, and he just has tears in his eyes, it's the first time anyone's been nice to him. And he goes, yes, we'll have a beer, but next time we have a beer, we're drinking this. And it shows him this notebook that he's had tucked away the whole time. It's all Reagan, and it has a bottle of Budweiser in it.
And then does it go,
and the
Mr. German beer inventor?
But the other guy's like, "Oh, yeah." And he introduces, "I'm Mr. Anheuser." He's like, "Oh, I'm Mr. Busch." Because that's the company that makes, Anheuser-Busch. And, and that was the commercial. Simple enough, right? Nope. Fuck that. Hashtag boycott Budweiser.
Presumably, broadly speaking, minus a little bit of Hollywood license, presumably, broadly speaking, also true.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I doubt the real Bush. I don't remember the guy's first name, but the guy, I doubt he was fighting alligators in a swamp, and shit like that,
Right, but he was an immigrant who set up a company with another immigrant.
Yeah. But no, it's "Oh, the liberals got to Budweiser too, huh?" It's no.
The liberals
they
got to Budweiser. Not you too, Budweiser. The last bastion. The last bastion of anti-immigration. We were taking those Budweiser crates down to Mexico to build the wall. Now, how do we know if they'll hold? How could you betray me like this, Budweiser?
Yeah, it's do you really think Budweiser is going to try to alienate 70% of its market? No, they did not think anything of this. They thought it was a interesting story, and it was all right, let's do it.
We have a few comments in the chat. We have referring to the Super Bowl, Blage says 5-hour event, 20-minute playtime, which I think is quite funny. But All Chaos also says bigoted people also got in an uproar about a mixed-race couple in a Cheerios commercial. Now that was I remember that. I remember that. That was a weird
And they
one, though,
also they
wasn't
also
it?
got they also got pissed off about Campbell's Soup having a gay couple with a son
Yeah.
in a commercial.
But I think that's probably more to do with the fact that nobody with any taste is going to eat Campbell's soup.
Yeah, pretty much. Although there are some Campbell's. I don't particularly like normal Campbell's soup, but they have like a line of soups called Campbell's Chunky. Those are pretty decent.
You can't take it seriously, can you? People getting upset at adverts. And like, this idea that's a recent thing, that you would put different people in adverts. They do that all the time. They've been doing it for as long as I can remember. That diverse
Well, and that was the funny thing. Well, that was really the funny thing, because that's the response I kept on seeing from people on these hashtag ban or boycott Coke, and it was people posting a video of that old like I'd like to teach the world the same.
That's from like the 70s, right?
Yeah, and the whole commercial is just a ton of different people of different ethnicities and backgrounds just standing together singing that damn song. It's the same advert. No one gave a shit back then, and I doubt people gave a shit now. But suddenly you get the same fucking commercial, except it's God Bless America, and suddenly it's like, oh, god damn it, fucking commies. It's...
Well, maybe, was it the Carpenters that did I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing famously?
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe that song's
If it's the case...
so American, despite the fact that it never mentions America once, that you can't bring it down with people of different ethnicities.
Right. But other than that, it was a Super Bowl. It was kind of actually, for those people who actually give a shit about sports, it was actually kind of a historic game.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it was. Let's see. It was the New England Patriots versus the Atlanta Falcons. The New England Patriots did win, and what's historic about it is that it was the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history, and it was the first Super Bowl ever to go into overtime, which meant at the end of regulation play, they were tied. They had to play an extra quarter of football, essentially. Well, it basically came down to like 3 plays, but it was extra time, and that's never happened in a Super Bowl before.
What's interesting about this is
51 years that they've done it.
What's interesting about this is, we were saying earlier about how, like, it's kind of weird to care so much about, diversity in commercials, but as little as I care about that, it's nothing compared to how little I care about the actual sports of the event.
That's cool.
I genuinely couldn't care less.
And the funny thing is that how much you don't care about sports is almost on par as how much I don't care that you don't care.
All I'm saying is, I'd honestly rather listen to you tell me about different types of clown right now.
No, there was one really nice thing about this whole ordeal.
Oh yeah?
Is thankfully, for once, leading up to it, I didn't get to see, unless I just wasn't paying attention, I didn't see all these fucking tweets like, oh, is there something going on with sports ball tonight? I hate that with a passion. Fucking, just that term, sports ball.
Well, I mean, it's more accurate than football, right?
Well, okay, no, because here's the thing, right? Yeah, football has a weird name. Everyone knows that. What I hate about the whole sports ball thing is that it's generally used by people who are dismissive of the thing. The same people who consistently bitch when people dismiss their fucking hobbies.
You know what? I'm going to start calling it sports ball now.
That's great.
I wasn't going to, but I think I'm taking it on. Sports ball.
But it's just that thing that drives me nuts about, like, especially geek culture.
Right.
Like, it's this whole, like, the geek culture, like, there's this weird pride about, oh, we were the weirdos and outcasts and everything from school, and now we're building your computers and da-da-da-da-da. But now that, like, geek culture is way more accepting these days or accepted. Suddenly they've turned it around.
Right, that attitude. That attitude's kind of bullshit when comic book movies are the best-selling movies in the world, you know? Things like that.
Right, exactly. You know, it's like,
you still see it a lot.
You guys won.
You still see it a lot, that attitude. It's crazy. Yeah. It's one of the things you used to see a lot in Gamergate. People saying things like, oh, they weren't interested in our hobby, and now all of a sudden they want to kind of invade and take over. Like, no, fuck you. You spent all those years complaining your hobby wasn't socially accepted. Now it is. You're bitching because people want to do it. Oh, go fuck yourself.
Right. You know? It's like...
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. But I am still going to call it sports ball. I used to annoy people.
Okay, right here in the chat, we got someone. Mr. Peppermint says, care about Super Bowl. I'm a Seahawks fan, so I didn't. But he is a sports fan, right?
Right.
Or a waterfowl fan.
Wouldn't it be great if he was just madly into Seahawks? He was like, sorry, what is that? He doesn't even know there's a team called the Seahawks. Sorry, I never really read about the football. I'm just reading my books about hawks of the Pacific Ocean. They're all dead. There's nowhere for them to land. Did you know that? It's fascinating.
Did you know that the average Seahawk can dive at 55 miles per hour? Oh, wait, is there a sports ball thing happening tonight?
Only he actually thinks it's called sports ball. Wow, you know, from up here in the seats, you can't even see the sticks holding the players in place. It's amazing. Go Seahawks! The Seahawks aren't playing. No, that one over there, it's a spotted waterfowl.
It's an osprey.
It's very rare. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
How can you watch this? How can you watch this sports ball when there's such a rare beast up there?
Who gives a damn about these muscle-bound idiots slamming into each other? Look at the flight. He must have caught a thermal.
He's attempting to stay with the bear expert. Go Cubs!
Cubs is a baseball team.
Yeah, he didn't know that.
But there is a Chicago Bears, which is a football team.
Be like, there are no bears in Chicago.
No, they shot them all. They're sending in the feds.
I hear that the Chicago Bears actually they actually managed to travel for more like economically than most of the other teams because they don't bother putting a toilet on the coach. No. They just stop in the woods if. Did you get it? Did you get it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the Chicago Bears, the Chicago Cubs, the Boston Bruins, the UCLA Bruins, just all shitting in the woods together. 400 fucking people and staff members just shitting in the woods.
The reason those teams are still going is because there are massive government subsidies because they account for like 60% of America's fertilizer industry. It was a bad crop this year, but the Chicago Cubs are touring, so we're okay. Reel it in.
Oh.
That was funny.
Yeah, I liked it.
This show's good sometimes.
Yeah, every once in a while we pull it off. Now I don't know where to go now. But yeah,
we got a question that says we got a question that says, Patrick, maybe a weird question, but do you know who made the steam engine? As in the locomotive, or as in the engine, the non, which was an engine, but didn't move around. And then there was what people often call the steam engine, which is a locomotive. And that was made by Stevenson. I forget his first name. I was going to say Robert Louis, but that was I think it was Robert Stevenson. Robert Louis Stevenson was the guy who wrote Treasure Island.
Yeah,
and then Robert Stevenson made the rocket, the locomotive, right?
I believe so. And then you had the Steam engine, which was by what the fuck's his game? Gabe Newell.
Gabe, Gordon Freeman, Gabe Newell, the original pioneers.
Yeah, I want to see their commercial of them traipsing through the fucking swamp and diving off the river boats.
Hey, buddy, you want to play a game? He starts getting out the Monopoly. He goes, sure, but the next one we download with this. He gets out this blueprint of Steam. It's just drawings of shit games. There's a big thing that says early access smeared in shit at the top of the paper.
The blood of his first wife at the bottom that just says episodic gaming's the future.
Yeah. And then there'll be a load of Trump supporters
The other guy
outside.
just backing away slowly. Just
Trump supporters outside Valve offices. Valve, not you too.
gaming, the one place I thought conservatives were safe.
Gabe comes out, puts up this giant fence. This gate should keep those gamers out.
Am I understanding the problem correctly? It's just a gate made from the bodies of all the people waiting for Half-Life 3. Every time they show up at our office, we just murder them and you put them on our gate.
Actually, it's about ethics in games journalism.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's about a gate made out of dead gamers.
It's about the murder of hundreds of
look,
innocent
it's right
people.
here.
SJW.
Yeah, sword jockey workaholic. Did I ever show you how much I love blades?
Come on, show a little dignity. Let's get these bodies down. You fucking cook.
I worked hard on that. Fucking socialist. Trying to undo all my hard work.
Yeah.
I'll cut you. I sort of
I'll cut.
Gabe Newell cutting people again.
Except, what he'll do is he'll shout, I'll cut you. And he'll start firing the knife forwards, but it'll just never arrive, delay after delay, and then they'll just stop talking about it. And if anybody asks where the knife is, he'll be like, what knife? I never announced a knife. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, we never said there was a plan for a knife. Stab. Keep people talking about it. Sources today say that Gabe sliced a journalist the other day. Stabbing should be coming soon. I never said that. I never said that.
All anybody can talk about is how the last few stabbings weren't as good as the stabbings 10 years ago. Those were some groundbreaking stabbings.
Yeah, the last few stabbings were only partially the way in. You know, they should have just gave him the full stabbing as one.
Good.
And it wasn't even a fatal stab, so everyone was kind of left wanting at the end.
Gabe Newell.
Go, Gabe.
He's a psycho.
He is kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah. He is indeed.
He definitely kind of has that air about him, like he's like the Phil Spector of gaming. Just, you never know. You never know when he's gonna fucking go.
The Phil Spector of gaming. I thought that would be Warren Spector.
Wait, which is the one? Who was the music producer who?
No, Phil
killed
Spector
someone in
was
studio?
Phil Spector was the crazy music producer, but there's Warren Spector, who's the guy who made Deus Ex.
Right, and Epic Mickey.
Yeah, he tweeted me once. I was mean about Epic Mickey, and he just tweeted me back saying, "Ouch!" And I was like, "Aw, I'm sorry, Warren Spector. I love you
Now I feel
really.
bad.
I felt terrible.
Deus
You know,
Ex Deus Ex was actually pretty good.
the only famous person to ever reply to me on Twitter, and it's like one of my game development heroes. But he did still make Epic Mickey, so he deserves everything he gets, to be honest.
You know, I always thought that everyone was kind of divided on Epic Mickey. Like, some people
no,
I
it's
thought
shit.
really liked it.
No, it's shit.
Didn't they make a 2?
They did. It's worse. Epic Mickey, I think it wins a lot of people over because it's got a lot of really great concepts. The idea that you're going through a world that's made up of all these abandoned characters, fighting against all these monsters who are characters from cartoons from before Disney became really huge, you know? Is a great premise. But it's also a high-paced, third-person platformer with no camera controls. And it sucks. It's a real shame. Could have been great.
Yeah. So, other than the Super Bowl and Owen recording something without me, you two-timing bastard.
I literally do that every day. 3 or 4 times a day.
But not with someone else, just with yourself. Like, I don't care. Like, that's basically masturbating to me. The fact that you're recording with someone else.
I have never
that hurts.
masturbated to you. What are you talking about?
Likely story.
Hey, you don't want the truth on this issue, trust me. Don't don't push it or things are going to get real weird real fast.
Is this going to be a David Carradine situation? You're going to find you with a rope around your neck clutching my picture?
But not like one of the many photos of you I have access to, but like a hand-drawn one.
I just have giant tits. Just
dressed as a giant biscuit. When you say giant, we don't mean like Pawn Star giant, but like genuinely like twice the size of watermelons, inflated at the front so your face is invisible. So much that I've had to write above a note like, "This is Jonathan Cadotte," with your full
Just to
name and
remind
address
yourself.
underneath. I've printed out Google Maps instructions to your house. A little explanation. Not gonna use it. Just useful for the fantasy.
there was 4 cages.
Oh shit. Yeah, there were.
Sorry.
Terrible.
Yeah, sorry.
Hey, you're not really involved in this. That was a weird day.
Okay, moving on. We and Owen both actually, oddly enough, this doesn't happen very often. We both saw a movie the same week.
Well, we did, because you specifically contacted me. You're like,
Don't
"You're
ruin the
funny,
illusion.
funny coincidence. It's a real. Oh, we both saw a movie in the same. Yeah. You contacted me and you said, I just watched this film and I'd like to talk about it on the podcast. Do you think you can watch it before we record next? Funny that.
Just
Wow,
way to peel the layers back
weird.
there, Owen. So, but before we talk about that, we're gonna switch over to
Are we?
our other set.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
Hold on, this is me. Hold on, let me just put stuff down.
Yeah.
Hold on. That'll do.
Oh, wait, hold on. We got a trespasser on our podcast. Get out of here.
I think that's Roman Polanski. He's our celebrity guest. Oh wait, no, not him.
Oh yeah.
Steven Spielberg. We're allowed him.
I don't know why it gave me the mini.
Well, is that the little pig man?
Yeah.
Fair enough. The people who watch this at home aren't really going to know what that was all about, really, are they?
No, not at all.
For the people who are listening at home, we just switched sets on our live stream. We do this live now. It's great.
Yeah, so here we are over at the movie set, and as you can see, today's feature is The Nice Guys.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be great if we just streamed the whole movie now for people? Just me. Yeah. We'd be the most popular podcast pretty soon.
Yeah, just tune in every week and get to watch a free movie. Fuck it. We're not here for them. But, okay. Nice Guys is a 2016 movie from Shane Black starring Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe.
You're actually doing this like a movie show. This is great.
Yeah, why not?
Which one of us is Roger Ebert? You could be Gene Siskel.
I'm kind of wishing you were Roger Ebert because he can't speak anymore.
Ooh, well, they're both dead. Technically, neither of them can speak anymore.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Ebert did die.
But I love how you're just not acknowledging that Gene Siskel is dead. Do you know something we don't?
No comment. So, Nice Guys is a movie that takes place in the 1970s and involves a pair of...
Shit, I was way off on this film. I wish I'd known that going in. I would have understood so much more about... I thought it was set in the distant future of Flair City. Alright, I will let you explain it. Go on, The Nice Guys. Talk us through it, John. Why don't you get on with it? Do a synopsis.
It's a pair of private investigators who, through a series of jobs and happenstance, get tied up in a large conspiracy that they find themselves being the only ones who can solve by the end. And it's actually a comedy.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't sound like it, but it is a comedy. And it's not your typical, like, slapsticky comedy.
Well, anybody who's seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang's gonna... No, because Shane Black did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang as well. That's, These are probably his two big... They're very similar films. But that's probably his most well-known film, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Although I don't think it did that well at the time, right? That's a movie that did better on DVD, right?
Yes, absolutely. It did terrible in the theaters, and I don't think The Nice Guys did all that great either.
No, I can see that.
Which is a shame, but at the same time, it's understandable. These aren't your typical blockbuster movies. They're unabashedly intelligent in how they're set up.
Yeah, but you know, I feel like to point out,
funny because
they're also really stupid.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. They're incredibly smart, but both movies star idiots.
Yeah.
But what I mean by being intelligent is that their plots are kind of intricate. Both movies work on these like series of tumbling events that seem independent of each other and then eventually come together in very reasonable ways.
It's interesting because the immediate sensation of the film, once you get into it, is almost total chaos. But it does really well to not lose you. For people who haven't seen The Nice Guys, should we just go through like the plot? We don't want to spoil it, but obviously two private investigators. One of which.
Well, okay, you know.
What?
We have our standard warning. We do spoil things on this
We do
show.
Spoil things. We don't do plot spoilers. Just we talk about it in such a way that you won't enjoy it as much afterwards.
Right.
No, we spoil
really?
plot.
That's how we spoil. That's how we spoil things. Cause I just took my milk out and just set it on the counter.
No, we do plot spoilers when we talk about things, just because it's easier to talk about them otherwise. Mm-hmm. So you said two private investigators. Technically, there's one private detective played by Ryan Gosling, and basically one hired muscle. He just goes around and beats people up for cash, played by Russell Crowe. Who, I feel like, this is going to sound like an insult, but I don't mean it this way, was kind of channeling John Goodman a little bit. He really reminded me
Is it,
of
as in it looks like, as in he looks like he might be eating a lot of double cheeseburgers as of lately.
well, not only that, but he was kind of channeling Fred Flintstone a bit, don't you think? Just, but
Maybe a little bit.
a little bit. But they get in touch because Ryan Gosling is investigating a case where a woman who died was seen alive, and one of the leads he's investigating is this girl who he thinks is a mistaken identity. So he's looking for this girl who he thinks is the woman who's been mistaken for the woman who's dead. Russell Crowe's character is paid by this girl, the mistaken identity girl, to basically warn Ryan Gosling away because she doesn't want to be found because she thinks someone's trying to kill her. Russell Crowe goes and beats the crap out of Ryan Gosling, and then when he gets home, he finds that the people who are actually looking for the girl think that he knows where she is, and they threaten him, so he goes back to Ryan Gosling and tries to hire him to find the girl so that they can find the people who are trailing them both, so that it's safe, basically, for everybody involved. That's pretty much the setup, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a setup, and then it gets way more complicated.
Yeah, with every... Honestly, this is not something where we can spoil the plot too much, because with every layer that gets added, it gets more and more intricate. There's no way we can cover it all, but every revelation leads to a twist that leads to an elaboration of the plot that leads to further drama, basically.
Right. And the funny thing is that any other movie with this subject matter would be taken as a very serious drama.
Right.
What makes this a comedy is that the two guys who are investigating, they're not necessarily idiots, but they're sort of irreverent in how they handle things.
Right.
Ryan Gosling is kind of he's scrupulous. He has no problem charging. I mean, to illustrate this, they show him talking with this one woman one time, and she says that her husband's gone missing, and he kind of glances over at her mantle and sees that there is an urn sitting there with the name of her husband on it. And he's like, yeah, he's gone missing. Like, yeah, he disappeared after a funeral. So clearly this woman is kind of like delusional.
Right.
Like can't cope with her husband being dead. And he's like, well, I'll look into it. Here's my standard fee.
Takes the cash.
Yeah.
The humor is actually, I really like this tone, and it was the same in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. The humor is actually my favorite kind of comedy because it's never overtly like pointed out. Like, one of the things I really hate about I like that Ghostbusters remake actually, but one of the things I don't like about it is it's one of those things where the whole film seems to be going, look, here's the joke, and we're going to keep doing it, we're going to keep playing it. In this film, the humor is very much a case of things happen and they're funny. And people don't stand around and talk about why they're funny, but they are... My favorite example is, early on, Russell Crowe's character, he meets Ryan Gosling's daughter, who's an amazing character in this film, by the way.
Yeah. We'll talk about her in a little bit.
Fantastic actress. But he meets her, and she offers him a Yoo-Hoo, which is a bottle of chocolate milk. And he has a little conversation.
Never had Yoo-Hoo. It's very good.
Oh, it's gorgeous. They have a little conversation. He accepts the Yoo-Hoo. He talks, and then he says, "Yeah, I haven't had one of these for years." And then he drives off. In the next scene, you see him, and he's just carrying a big crate of Yoo-Hoo. And you know what's happened. He's had it. He's gone, wow, this is pretty nice. I forgot how good this was. And then he's gone out, and he's bought as much Yoo-Hoo as he can get his hands on to take home. Mm-hmm. But they don't go into that. They just show it, and they know that it's funny that that's what he's gone out and done, and they just leave you to make that connection. And then it immediately gets smashed.
Right, because that's the other thing that this movie does, is that it's never enough just to have one kind of punchline-y thing. Everything always builds on itself. Because like with the Yoo-Hoo thing, she introduces the concept of the Yoo-Hoo to him. He likes the Yoo-hoo. He goes out and buys a crate of it. Immediately, it gets smashed by intruders in his house, and he's legitimately more upset about the Yoo-hoo than he is that there's intruders in his house.
Well, the other joke that works really well is there's this running joke about Ryan Gosling falling out of buildings.
Yeah.
Because they go to this party. Like, if you feel like I'm skipping over plot details, honestly, it's just the kind of film that has to be seen. You've got as much as you're going to get. You just have to watch it unfold. But at one point when they're trying to track down this girl, who's Amelia is her name, right?
Yeah, Amelia.
They go to track her down, and they go to this party. And this party's it's a 1970s Hollywood porn and drugs party. It's the seediest party you can imagine. And the girl goes with them. They do try to prevent her, but she's basically there with them. Ryan Gosling's looking around for people to investigate. And what starts as a sequence where he's looking for someone to investigate to see if he can find this girl. He thinks they're in danger, so he wants to go around with Russell Crowe, but Russell Crowe decides they should split up. He decides that the person he should investigate is someone swimming around in the aquarium dressed as a mermaid. So he gets in the tank, starts swimming around after them, gets really drunk as well, doesn't get any useful information from the mermaid, but ends up talking to a woman dressed in like a cowboy and Indian gear.
Like Pocahontas.
Right. Starts flirting with her, trying to get information, tells her he's an actor, and tells her to, like, pretend to shoot him. Does this pratfall that basically tumbles him over the balcony, where he then rolls down the hill, leaves the party, and finds a dead body.
Right.
And the whole sequence unfolds so beautifully, unexpectedly. Like, how are you going to get to the dead body? That it's so perfect. But then from then on, this running joke becomes Russell Crowe asking him, did you fall out the window again? Like...
one of my favorite sequences, actually, and it's kind of like how they introduce that this isn't going to be your typical detective story, because it has a little bit of narration at the beginning, like a classic noir. And it's Ryan Gosling basically talking about being a private detective and all this sort of stuff. And then they show him actually doing the first bit of actual detective work. And he tries to get into this club. He can't get in, so he comes back at night. And he's like, well, sometimes you gotta break the rules. And he lines up with this window, and he's going to do that kind of classic thing you see in action movies where he wraps his hand up in a towel and he punches through it, right? That's how he's going to break in. He punches the window, immediately retracts his hand, looks up and realizes he's accidentally slit his own wrist. And he's just like, oh, that's a lot of blood. And the next thing you see is him in an ambulance. Just... that was one of my favorite bits, because it's like, yeah, here he is trying to be a detective, and also he immediately fucks it up.
It's great. It's great. And one of the things about it is the action scenes, in the same way as the comedy, they don't overplay things. And so you'll get a lot of sequences that are very action-packed and very exciting, but also very funny. The big final one where they're chasing that roll of film is legitimately hilarious as it rolls about the place.
Yeah, and the thing keeps on, like, rolling off of ledges, which leads to him falling off the ledge. He never actually jumps off the ledge. He ends up falling off of every single one. Yeah,
because they're in this hotel, and then the film falls out, and you get that Russell Crowe moment again, which is like, how did you get down here? Did you fall again? And there's also a really great moment where he tries to catch up with the villain who he thinks has kidnapped his daughter, steals a car, and then immediately plows it into a tree. And it's not played dumb like Ace Ventura. It's played like this is a genuine guy who is trying to save his daughter, but he's just plowed the car into a tree. But it's also really funny. And then there are sad bits too, in because that sequence ends in a death.
In a very so here's kind of why Ryan Gosling's daughter is a really important character in this. So you have Ryan Gosling, who is kind of a shitty person, and his daughter straight up calls him a shitty person at one time. Because he asks her, like, am I a bad person? Expecting her to be like, no, you're fine. And she's like, yeah, you are a bad person. And then you have Russell Crowe, who he kind of has this thing where he just wants to be useful. He feels like he's just not worth anything. And he tells this story about the last time he felt useful is he stops his robbery, right? But he doesn't explain really how he does it, but they show it. And he stops this robbery by essentially brutally beating a man to death. Like,
after taking a shotgun blast in the arm as well.
Yeah, he gets shot in the arm and then brutally beats a man to death. But he doesn't say that. He just like, yeah, and I took the guy down, and it was the last time I felt useful. And so you can tell that he kind of has, like, good intentions, but he always, when it comes to executing those intentions, is always kind of bad. And what this scene is that they track down this guy who has actually kidnapped Ryan Gosling's daughter. The guy gets hit by a car, just like a random ass car, and
then they're in that van, and then he stops in the van, and they run because they think the guy in the van's gonna help them, and then he just drives off.
So this guy's laying there, and he's got hit by a van, and the daughter basically says, we have to help him. Even though this guy has just kidnapped her, she is the one bastion of morality in this trio, and she's like, we have to help. And so Russell Crowe's like, yeah, go run, go get some help. And in the time that she runs to try to find some help, he kills the man. He suffocates him to death.
Which, by the way, he had promised to do earlier, because he killed his fish. Which seems like a weird sentence, but is technically... that's about it. That's literally the only reason he does it.
And then she comes back and straight up asks him, like, did you murder this man? And he lies. He says, like,
nah.
No. Yeah. So that's kind of the thing, is that you have Ryan Gosling, who doesn't have really any morals. You have Russell Crowe, who has a very warped sense of morality. And then you have this girl who actually is a moral character. And even in moments where she is in danger and she has had her life threatened and nearly killed, it never wavers. She remains, I guess, pure in a weird sense.
It's so funny because that's really taken serious as well. That's that concept that that her morality is important is never sneered at in the film. And it's what makes this film work, I think.
And this is something I actually wanted to bring up. Even though this movie sent a very key component of this movie is pornography. If you watch this movie and you also watch Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, you get this sense that Shane Black has a sort of thing about upholding the innocence of women. Because I noticed it right away. In both movies, there's almost an identical scene of a woman, a dead woman, having part of her body exposed.
Right.
And someone going out of the way to cover it up. And it's a really it might be a very small thing, but it's something that really caught my attention. So the nice guy opens up with this scene of a car crashing through a house, and there's a little kid who's witnesses the whole thing, right? The car crashes like right behind him.
It's actually the same kid from Iron Man 3, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Just thought that was interesting because Shane Black directed that as well.
Right. So this kid, who in a strange circumstance, coincidence, was just looking at a porno mag with this girl who just drove her car through his house.
It's interesting because it's one of the really unusual examples of, like, I don't think it would be unreasonable to say that this is actually a joke. He is looking at a pornographic magazine starring this woman, and then in a great coincidence, she, in a car, crashes through his house. When he goes out to the car, he finds the body. She's still alive at this point, but she is in exactly the same pose as the thing he's just been looking at in the magazine. That's not... Yeah. The way that plays out is not as poetic irony, but it's played as kind of a gag. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, a darker gag.
Yeah, not a laugh out loud, ho-ho, but it's a joke. But you later find out that woman is dead. She in fact, one of the questions is whether she's alive or not. That goes on for a while. But she is dead. That car crash kills her. And yet it's the first joke in the film, really, that becomes... It's interesting.
But the kid does something. He does something very specific. He stands there.
I bet he does.
She talks to him for a second before passing. And he doesn't say anything. He just takes off his pajama top and lays it over her exposed breasts. Now, the same scene almost bang, because there's a scene where Robert Downey Jr.'s character discovers a dead body in a trunk. And the dead body is in a very short skirt, and the skirt is raised up like over her hips. And in a weird moment, he pulls the dress down to kind of cover her up more.
Right.
And it was weird that of all the things that there could be identical scenes between those two movies, it was that scene. Which, I don't mean to look into it further than what it is, but it does seem that there is a conscious effort to make sure that the women in Shane Black's movie are kind of held to a purity, even when they're not doing good things.
It's interesting because right off the bat, what I would say about both those scenes, and you're right, it's the same thing. It's actually very effective in that it produces an emotional response in you as a viewer when you see it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's this interesting thing of... To me, what it makes me think about is... one thing movies love to mix is sexuality and death. Do you know what I mean? It happens in horror a lot, you know?
Right.
And I think what those scenes say to me is that it's an expression kind of discomfort with that combination of feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't read purity into it. For me, it doesn't say anything about... it says more to me about how the characters in those situations feel, I guess, about the kind of awkwardness in that. But I can see what you're saying.
You look at some of the other characters in this movie, right? Specifically the female characters. God, excuse me. You have Amelia. She's the girl who's on the run.
Right.
And you discover through the movie that she has made a pornographic film.
This is kind of hilarious, by the way. I think.
Yeah. She's made a pornographic film. And
But
what
not
you
because she wants to make a
discover,
pornographic film, specifically.
right, okay, so this is what I mean about upholding purity. Because even when they do things that could be considered an impure thing, they give them justifications. So she's made this pornographic film, and you discovered the reason she's done this is not, like Owen said, not that she wants to make a porno. Her mother is the head of the Department of Justice, and
That old
there's a
excuse.
big, yeah, her mother's the director of the Department of Justice, who is engaged in this large lawsuit against the auto industry about emissions. But it's revealed that she's kind of on the take, so she's going to let them all slide.
Yeah,
And
the big controversy, the big hidden conspiracy that is the reason the girl's on the run for her life, basically. The details aren't that important, but the big hidden conspiracy, she was going to make a film that would tell everybody all about it. And then she specifically says, "Oh, hello. Can you still hear me, John?"
I'm still here.
The host exited the game, it says.
Yeah, okay. I will get you back.
No worries. So I'll carry on talking. The big conspiracy that plays out, she decides that she's going to make a film that will be the tell-all, the whistle-blowing film that will make sure everybody knows what's going on. But they make it as a pornographic film, rather than just a film. Partly, I guess, because they want to make sure everybody will see it, it'll embarrass her mother in the biggest way. But there's also a line in there where she says, the person who made it was her boyfriend, and he says that it's very important. It's important to the integrity of the film. That was his opinion, which I think is kind of funny.
Right.
But I also don't read the same thing into that. I honestly think the motivating factor for that is that it's funny. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be one of those people who's like, I will not dismiss any deeper message, but I genuinely think that the motivation for that is that I don't get purity out of it, because I think when they explain that's her motivation, the general tone of the film is that it's a fucking stupid idea.
Yeah, I guess. But I get what another example for me. There's a character in it who
Hold on for a
that
second.
movie.
Do you want to just start that again, because to get back into the game I had to go into the blue screen, so they might not be able to hear you.
Sure. There's another character from Kiss Kiss Bang Bang that I think about in these terms. There's a woman who kills herself early on in the film, and it's kind of what kicks off the big plot, essentially. And there's this big debate about whether or not she killed herself or she was murdered. And it is revealed that eventually she did kill herself.
Right.
But rather than just killing herself due to like depression, they go out of their way to explain this pretty horrific set of events that happened for her. That almost make you feel like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense why she would kill herself. And I guess, do you get what I'm saying? Is that as opposed to all other characters in these two movies, there's more time given to the actions of the women than anyone else. I don't know, it just something that kind of caught
But I
my
wonder
eye.
how much of that is to do with wanting to tell a traditional, crazy, complex noir plot without reducing them down to just dead bodies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess that might be a thing too. It is a better better alternative than just fridging them, you know? Are you
Right.
back in, by the way?
Uh, I'm trying to get. I thought I was.
Issues?
I have accepted the invite, but I'm not getting back into the world. It appears. Well, we could just stream the menu. It's working. What you talking about?
I did have to uh, exit the chat because I've noticed there were some issues going on.
Hold on, I'm just getting back into this.
Out.
Yeah, it's not sending me back into the game, basically.
Huh.
It won't let me back into the game, which is annoying for the people listening from home, I'm sure. No, the chat's got kind of
Yes.
quiet, I'm afraid. It says there are 3 people watching,
that's-
but it's kind of quiet. I try not to talk too much about the chat on the stream, but we're having technical issues, so unfortunately we have to deal with these things. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to interrupt the show too much, but the game's not working, so I guess we just stream the menu for a little bit. Every time I try and get back in, it blue screens, which means you lose the voice. And I don't want to do that too much.
Alright, well, okay. For those listening at home, we apologize right now for a little bit of silence that's going to happen. But we need to get this figured out real quick.
Fair enough.
So, I believe the game is open. So if you want to try to join that way.
Nope, not getting nothing. Hold on. Yeah, I'm not getting anything in my joint. It's not working. I can see the invites. I just can't see the, I don't get to see any other open games. I think it must be an issue on my end, basically.
Well, I lost connection for a little bit, to the server. So I'm gonna, I exit out of Minecraft completely. I'm gonna load it back up and see what happens.
Okay. This is a great podcast. I'm going to make a note of when
Sorry,
this is, and we
everyone.
can edit this out.
Live television, folks.
How are you guys enjoying the show at home? I don't normally talk to the chat directly. I can talk to you for a bit, because I'm going to edit this all out. If I remember. How you doing, guys? Blaj says, it's podcast. Yeah. It's podcast, John. We should just stream the menus. I don't mind. Maybe we need to remake our world on my side, so that if it goes wrong, it's just a case of getting you back in, but the studio's still working. Ooh,
Okay.
ooh, I might be able to join now, John. Hooray, we're getting back in. Great,
Okay.
I think. We'll see.
There you are. I see you in the world.
Yay! Now I can keep this in the same edit point, because I needed to sneeze. Good, good.
Here. Okay.
So what were
Sorry
you saying?
about that, everyone.
The nice guys! Yeah! Let's do it.
Yeah. So okay. So I made my point about the women thing, but there's just a lot going on in this movie.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's manic.
That's just really great. It's the character work is really really nice. It's a real nice change of pace to see incompetent characters who are incompetent not just because they're fucking stupid, right? Because there's so many of those movies, you know, where you just get a pair of bumbling idiots and the whole movie revolves around just how stupid they can be. You know?
Yeah. No, it works out pretty well,
the
I think.
archetype is, in Dumb and Dumber, Step Brothers, Mike and Dave need wedding dates.
Right. And this is a totally different kind of film.
Yeah. But it kind of plays on the same thing where everything happens because these two are not necessarily great at their job.
So there is one thing I'd like to talk about, which is not necessarily hugely important to the film itself, but it kind of made my week, this film. Because early on in the week, we were having a conversation, Beth and I, where she was saying that she feels that Ryan Gosling is not a very good actor, right? That he's essentially kind of boring and not that good. Fair enough, that's an opinion. I'm not massively familiar with the work overall. But my response to this was that, by human standards, yes, but he's actually very good for a goose. Which, yeah, fair enough. Fine. But I present the evidence. Jemima Puddle Duck from the Beatrix Potter books is a puddle duck. And his name is Ryan Gosling. It would just be silly if he was called Ryan Gosling and he wasn't a goose. Like, that would be absurd, right? That would be madness. Madness that way lies. And this conversation went on for a very, very long time, because, yeah, let it never be said that I will take a joke too far. But
no, not you.
There is a scene in this movie where Ryan Gosling's in a bathroom stall, and Russell Crowe starts attacking him. Not attacking him, talking to him through the door. But he pulls a gun. Anyway, you see him with his shirt sleeves down. And it just made my day, because he had a tattoo of a duck on his arm. And that was all the evidence I needed.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, this whole movie was a tour de force for avian actors.
I was watching this, Russell Crowe. Yeah.
I do enjoy this creeper just staring at you.
What you doing there? Recording a podcast? No, you're right. We got Russell Crowe. Who else we got? Is a Basinger a kind of a kind of bird I'm not aware of?
No, that's a fish. It's a bass singer.
Right. It's the bass that sings.
The bass singer.
It's like that old Family Guy joke where Peter's going in for the test results, and the doctor gets out the piece of paper and he says, Mr. Griffin, I'm not sure how to say this. Bassinger? Basinger?
So, there was another thing I wanted to bring up with this film. Not necessarily a criticism, but just something that stuck out in my mind.
Okay.
So this movie does kind of follow the same sort of gimmicks as Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. There's no doubt about that. But this plot revolves way more heavily on the idea of coincidence than Kiss Kiss Bang Bang did.
Whoa, no way. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is loaded with coincidence.
Oh, sure, there is, but everything in this film has something relies on some sort of coincidence.
There is the significant moment when he falls down the hill and finds the body. I will agree, but I think
there's that. There's the scene where the dude just gets hit by a random fucking van. Never introduces a van before that. It's not like Chekhov's
but they're in the middle of a road.
Way. Yeah, but there's no you don't even see the van coming. It's just there, and it's not like they're on this a blind corner or anything like that.
No, you're right. No, I must admit, you're right. Most people who are involved in traffic accidents are always hit by vans they were very, very well aware of for a while before they hit them. No, you're definitely correct, sir. You're an idiot.
But no, fuck you, alright? In the terms of a film, alright, okay, yeah, do people randomly get hit in real life? Sure. But in a matter of film, there's any screenwriter, most screenwriters would say, no, that's shoddy work just to introduce a random van to take out a character.
Do you also feel like No, I suppose. I was going to say there... Yeah, I'll let you off. But, no, it's just supposed to be traffic. A film's supposed to establish the existence of traffic now?
Traffic. Okay, you want to know what happens the rest of that film or the rest of that scene right on the road? Not another single car shows up.
What, you want
the
two
van
hit-and-runs?
hits them, drives off, and not another single fucking car shows up.
I think you're being very picky.
It's the emptiest road in all of LA.
Right, except for the one van. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Let's keep going.
I will say this, actually. No, I will say this. I will give you this, actually, because thinking about it, it's the emptiest road. It is a really, really quiet road. Just down the road from a really, really, really busy party with valet parking.
Yeah. All right.
I hadn't thought about that.
All right. There's a bit where Ryan Gosling is pinned down by a bunch of guys shooting at him. All right.
Yeah.
And suddenly a coat descends from the sky and lands on one of the people, right? It just so happens that this coat has a live grenade in it. No one threw the coat at them.
No, you must have missed that bit.
No, he throws the coat off of himself.
Yeah.
It just happens to land
on one
of these guys and blows them the fuck up.
No. The two guys are fighting up above. He's holding a grenade.
Mm-hmm.
The other guy pulls the pin out of the grenade, so it's in his coat. He chucks the coat, and he drops it off the building, and the fight is going on beneath them, and that is established, sir. That is established that fight is happening above those people.
It's established that there is a fight happening beneath them. What isn't established is that every wind current and force of nature...
beneath them. How much wind do you need to make things fall down, sir? Bullshit.
Directly on the guy right when Ryan Gosling needs them. Too.
Right. So now every time something falls on someone else in a film, we call it a coincidence now. Because, hey, that thing happened to be above that thing at that time. Coincidence.
Okay, fine.
Something fell on me today. It wasn't a coincidence. I was just sat under a really, really tightly packed shelf. It happens.
Okay. Another coincidence that happens, all right? Ryan Gosling driving a car.
Do you want to know another coincidence? Every example you give, I coincidentally think you're more stupid. Coincidence!
Another example, all right? They are driving down the road, right? They are tasked with carrying this supposed briefcase full of money to someone. Ryan Gosling happens to fall asleep at the wheel, right? Has a nice little moment where he hallucinates a bunch of shit, right?
Which leads to my favorite joke in the film, by the way.
They crashed the car, and in the process, the briefcase hits the wall and opens up and realizes it's not money at all. It's a bunch of pamphlets, right? And suddenly, oh no, we realize we've been tricked, which leads to the next point in the film.
I feel obliged to mention, you're just listing things that happen in the film and calling them coincidences.
But do you understand, like, it'd be one thing if they were, like, trying to do something. If they were trying to open the briefcase. Or if they were trying to uncover the next point of the story. But they're not. In fact, at that point in the fucking movie, the plot has ended. It is stopped. Nothing is happening. And it takes a random happenstance to push it further again. And it's not just like for our heroes that this happens either. There's a really great moment, spoilers, where Amelia gets killed. They just had this huge ass shootout, right, in the neighborhood. And everyone kind of gets away, and the bad guys start driving away, and Amelia takes off running. And she comes running out of the woods at the exact point where the bad guy is driving. He stops, goes, "Oh, this is nice." He even makes a comment of how, like, this is a happy coincidence. And gets to shoot her in the head. Right?
Okay. That's a coincidence. Well done. You've identified your first coincidence.
They're all coincidences.
They are coincidences by the definition of two things happening at the same time are technically a coincidence. But not in the way you mean them, sir. No. Bad, Jonathan. Bad.
Owen. No, you are so wrong about this, all right? What we get is always two, not just two things happening.
I'm sorry. No, okay, look, I will give you it. I will totally give you it, right? Perhaps not coincidences, but the plot is occasionally furthered by random events, right? I'll happily give you that. I don't mind it so much because I think it's part of the tone and style of the film, but fine. Where I take issue with you is that is not more coincidental than Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. It's been too long since I saw it for me to give you specific examples, but tons of shit happens like that in that film.
Not at the same frequency.
No, exactly the same frequency.
No.
Yes.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
No.
Yeah,
No.
let's just do this all day.
No.
Like, he just happens... Oh, come on. Like, it begins with a bigger coincidence than any of the ones you listed.
Okay, I will give you that, all right? That opening bit that brings Robert Downey Jr. to L.A.
And then the girl he meets who happens to be...
a huge coincidence.
And then the girl he meets happens to be the girl he knew as a kid.
Right, but they establish why she's there.
Right.
And why he's there.
Oh, I'm sorry. They establish it, therefore it's no longer a coincidence.
Right.
No.
These are
Bullshit, sir.
established plot points.
I'm getting you a dictionary for Christmas. You are terrible at this. Those are not coincidences. Stick to your special subjects. Let's talk about clowns. Come on, man. Are there any coincidental clowns you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, you fucking clown.
There's further evidence you don't know what a coincidence is.
I don't... Fuck it.
You should all go
Damn,
see The
it's
Nice
creative.
Guys.
I can't hit you. I'm trying my best to hit you right now, and I can't because it's fucking creative.
Should we? Are we done with The Nice Guys? Is that all you want to say about it?
Yeah.
I want to talk
I'm
about
good.
this really stupid episode of Star Trek Voyager I saw today. Like, just to keep it topical.
Sure. Should we head back to our normal set?
Yeah, Star Trek Voyager isn't really a movie, is it? I don't want to talk about it in any depth, but I think it's really ridiculous. Like, everybody knows Star Trek Voyager isn't the best Star Trek show in the world, you know? Or even,
Right.
like, the second or third best. I fell in the water.
You. Just a little inside baseball here, folks. There was a time when Owen said that you can't fly reliably in this game, and I proved to him that you could by successfully flying 10 times in a row. And the one time we needed him to do it, he fucked it up.
Thus proving my point that you can't fly reliably in this game.
No,
okay.
You can't fly reliably in this game. It's nothing with the game. It's your abilities.
So I want to talk about this just because it's so dumb. I wasn't going to bring this up on the show, but the more I think about it, the dumber it gets, right? So, you're familiar with Star Trek Voyager, right? I'm not going to talk about any characters, and you're going to be like, Neelix, who is Neelix? You know what I mean?
Right, yeah, I know, yeah.
Right, so, I'm watching an episode of Voyager today because I'm doing a bit of housework. It's on Netflix these days. It's good to put an episode of Star Trek on every now and then. I've seen most of them. And I see a plot summary for an episode I've never seen before, which is always a rarity for me, because I was very into Star Trek as a kid, so it's not that common, and I'm like, oh, I'll put this on and I'll watch it. And this episode of Star Trek begins, and you've got the Doctor, Seven of Nine, and Harry Kim on a shuttle on a scientific expedition. And they get intercepted by these aliens who basically, they're at war with what used to be their holographic servants. So they basically have made holograms illegal, basically. So when they detect that the Doctor's on board, they raid the ship with the plan that to basically take him prisoner and to question them and see who they are, right? That's the setup. And they start firing this weapon on the ship that basically disrupts holograms, and to save him, Seven of Nine takes the Doctor's program and loads it into one of her, Borg implants. Thus begins an episode of Star Trek Voyager, which is basically about Harry Kim, the Doctor, and Seven of Nine in prison on a planet where they have to hide the fact that the Doctor's with them by hiding him in Seven's brain, and when she's in there, the Doctor has control over Seven's body. Whereby, he starts trying to gather information to help free them by getting to know the crew and trying to be like a cooperative prisoner. I should say, at this point, Harry Kim basically gets written out. He has one more scene while they're in prison, and then the fact that he's in prison with them might as well never be mentioned again. He's totally irrelevant to it. This begins this love triangle, as while the Doctor is in control of Seven of Nine's body, the commander of the base... Actually, do you know that? I could be wrong. They might be on a starship. I thought they were on a base, then they rescued them from a ship at the end, so maybe they were on a ship. But I was paying a lot of attention. The captain of the ship is forming a romance with Seven of Nine, who he likes, even though he doesn't really know that he's talking to the Doctor. And the Doctor is falling in love with one of the officers he's working with, who's a woman, but she's obviously not interested in Seven because she's straight, although they never quite bring that up. Seven of Nine hates being in the Doctor's body because he keeps kissing people and getting massages, right? So the whole plot line to this episode of Voyager is about basically the Doctor...
Wait, what kind of prison is this where you get a kiss and get massages?
It's really weird.
Go.
It's really weird. Basically, the excuse they use is they've been in space a long time. That's legitimately...
Oh, Jesus.
Legitimately the excuse they use for why the captain of the ship keeps coming on to Seven of Nine. The Doctor... Meanwhile, Seven of Nine's really pissed off because the Doctor keeps excessively eating and drinking because he's never had food or drink before. So every time the Doctor takes over the body again, he basically gets completely and totally pissed. Staggers around drunk. This was the main plot of the episode. This was crap and weird and stupid enough. The subplot of this episode is, back on Voyager, they don't have a Doctor. Right? This is the bit I wanted to talk about. That was terrible, by the way. That was really terrible. I was thoroughly enjoying the scene of the captain of the ship attempting to come on to the Doctor, and Jerry Ryan having to play Robert Picardo, playing a straight male hologram, disgusted by this middle-aged man coming onto him. That was very funny. Not intentionally, but very funny. And then, so back on the ship, they have no Doctor. And conveniently, the one day when the Doctor's been kidnapped and forced to live inside Seven of Nine, the one day, it happens to be the day Tuvok's coming onto his Ponfar, which, for people who don't know their Star Trek, is the... Every 7 years when Vulcan males go drastically out of control and start basically, they have to mate, otherwise they go insane and they fight people and they get all violent.
They go into heat.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, Tuvok's coming onto his Ponfar, basically. And he wants to keep it a secret, but Tom Paris has to diagnose him because the running plot in Voyager is that when the doctor's away, Tom's like the trainee medic. So this is where the plot of this episode of Voyager went. I shit you not. Like, they didn't go into it in a lot of detail, but basically, what follows is a series of conversations in which Tom Paris is making a pornographic holodeck program for Tuvok, starring Tuvok's wife.
Oh, God.
And then there's an amazing scene. An amazing scene. Tuvok's on the holodeck. He's wearing, like, the Vulcan ceremonial dress. There's a hologram of his wife, and they're doing the whole, like, touching the two fingers and saying the right. Important sayings. But meanwhile, you can tell, like, he's really playing it really frustrated. Like he can't wait to really get into this hologram of his wife. He's gonna, like, he's not gonna be very logical about it. You could see, right? And then,
he's sex crazed and Vulcan strong.
Right. And then the Voyager runs into these aliens that have the ability to disrupt holograms again.
Oh, no.
And they tell him they're breaking local laws, and Voyager, Captain Janeway, who doesn't know where Tuvok is right now, agrees to turn off the holodeck. And there's a scene of sex-mad Tuvok, his wife and his sexy cave disappear around him. He looks utterly pained, like... like the saddest thing on Earth was the Tuvok...
That's like the same... That's what they're basically describing is every teenager who grew up in the early days of the internet having their internet cut out while they're trying to download porn.
Right. Like, I've never seen this episode before, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. My favorite bit was after trying to keep it secret, Captain Janeway being like, "Yeah, the last time you came down with the flu was 7 years ago, wasn't it? Hey, stud." Oh. And then she's like, "You could use the holodeck whenever you need to." I was like, yeah, I'm sure your stoic security officer is really thrilled to know that all his friends know that he's heading down to the holodeck to get laid.
Well, the more important question, or the person who should be really upset about this whole, like, setup, you know, where it's like, yeah, Tuvok, you can go use the holodeck whenever you want to go have sex with your wife, is a janitor.
Right.
It's like, Ensign Bradford, you need at the holodeck, bring a mop. Like, oh no.
So wait, is that the one? Is that the one Command Tuvok's been in? It is indeed. Oh, come on! Every 7 years, it's gonna be flooded in there.
It has weird colors too.
You open it up as like a candy green floss machine, like pink and blue, and
my God, it's a Technicolor sexcapade. Oh God, it's on the ceiling. What the fuck, man? That's 2 stories up. Do you do Kegels? What the hell?
Oh.
This is for all the 7 years in between. Every time they pass each other in the hallway, Ensign Bradford, fuck you, Tuvok. Sorry. Just don't look at me. Just don't fucking look at me, all right?
You ever heard of Playboy?
I know more about you than I ever fucking wanted to.
Play Vulcan on your world. No, don't got none of that.
You can't just think about things, you know? Just fantasize a little bit in your quarters where you're responsible for the cleanup.
You ever tried a Vulcan nerve pinch?
You know, we call it the stranger. Just what the fuck, man? Like I'm not against you jerking it, man. I do it daily, but what the fuck, dude?
The real sad thing is when they forget to password protect that program, and 2 weeks later, Tuvok's wife is the most popular program on the ship. No, They say Vulcans do not feel emotion.
Like, hey, no, you don't do that to my wife. No, stop it, all of you. Just this entire episode of Tuvok opening people's quarters to make sure they're not jerking it to his wife. What are you doing in there? Nothing. It better be nothing. I'm a Vulcan nerve pinch your dick off if you're doing anything in there.
Yeah. I literally, like, my heart screamed with joy when that hologram went off, and someone must have said to, what is his name, Tim Russ, who had to play Tuvok, said to him, can you just, like, Tuvok, could you just play him really cock-blocked? Like, could you just imagine what what a blue-balled Vulcan looks like, and just really go for it?
Like, okay, so it's been 7 years since you've been laid, right? You haven't seen your wife in a very long time. You got this one opportunity to kind of, to give it to her good, right? This is it. Like, this is what this is what you've been training
He just punches
for.
the director. Sorry, I was going method.
And it's like pretend like you're chatting up this girl, and like it's been a really long time, and things are going well, and she talks about like she has a couple bottles at home, and maybe you guys should go and get yourself a nightcap, and you know what it's all gonna be, and then right at that last second, your buddy shows up, and it's like, hey man, Steve's crying over his ex, and he threw up, and we need a ride home, and you're fucked, right? You're just completely cock-blocked. Like, how would you feel in that situation? And the actor just stabs the director. Like, fuck! Sorry. You went to a really real place for me. Apparently. You're an actor, man. It's not that hard to get laid. I'm sorry. It's really sorry.
It was thoroughly enjoyable. Like, I mean, the main plot was dumb enough. Like, but that subplot, conveniently, the Ponfar came in. My favorite thing about it was, like, Tuvok was like, the doctor thought ahead and synthesized a treatment that would subdue the symptoms for the time being. But the doctor's not here to synthesize enough of it. And I'm like, what? They didn't think he had the calendar, like, okay, 7 years ahead, Tuvok's Pomfar's coming in. He didn't do it like the week ahead. He was waiting until like the day it hit to make up the medicine.
Right, he's a computer program. Like, he hasn't had this shit figured out.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. But that is something about Star Trek, though. That there's always, in every series, the original series, Enterprise, Next Generation, Voyager, even Deep Space Nine, there's always that one episode where they like to play around with sex, right?
But in that weird kind of sexless Star Trek way.
Yeah. Like, there's that whole episode in Enterprise where they discover, like, the pleasure cave. Whatever,
the pleasure
where
cave.
It's just like...
Is that what they're calling it in the future?
Well, what the fuck would you call it? It's a one, or it's basically like a sauna, but apparently it's way better than a sauna.
I don't remember this episode.
I can't remember exactly how it goes, but they uncovered this thing, and it's a running bit where Jolene Blaylock, her Vulcan character,
T'Pol. I know Star Trek.
Right, is like, she's not on board with it. Like, all the other like human characters keep on taking their turns.
That would be so... Being a stick in the mud would be so out of character for her.
Well, she's just like, no, like, this is silly. And she's like, kind of like... She like almost insults the rest of the fucking crew because all the other human characters like take their turns going into this cave. Or this... I can't remember what it was. It was a chamber or something like that. But at the end, like... It's been so long since I've seen this episode, but... she has to go into it for some reason, and
Of course.
and,
Why
and,
not?
and essentially it's an excuse to get her in a pair of like
They
shorty shorts and a sports bra.
well, they didn't need much of an excuse
No,
for that.
but but she's basically there all sweaty and stuff, and there's other people in there with her, and they're like, oh, see, it's not so bad. Oh, I can see how this could be quite pleasurable. It's like
They did a lot of that on Enterprise, though. Like, do you remember the episode where Trip gets pregnant because he puts his hands in some beads?
yeah. It's like, just stay away from the fucking beats.
There's a really interesting episode one, a really, really early one, where they meet a species that has 3 genders. And they got male and female, and then they have this third gender that they're keeping, they're kind of keeping subjugated. And that third gender is neither male nor female, and they, when the male and females want to breed, they basically request one from the government, because you need 3 to make a baby. That was a really weird one. Really, really weird one. And then Trip causes this, this basic, diplomatic incident by asking it out on a date.
God, you remember how terrible that would be, though? Like, it's hard enough. Like, unless you're in a committed relationship, and even then it's kind of difficult to get laid sometimes.
Right, can you imagine if you needed to
like,
hire a third person from the government to do it?
Right, like, okay, you didn't have to hire them, but you still had to kind of go through the process of, like, picking them up, you know? Like,
every time we had a night out, you had to meet 3 people.
Right, yeah. Like, what's the series that you go through, you know? Like, what's the playbook? Do you go after the non-gendered one and then try to pick up the girl, or do you pick up the girl and
you were like,
then...
hey, I've already got the middleman.
I already got the neutral.
Right.
So, like, we're good to go. Or do you pick up the girl first, and it's like, yeah, just meet me back at my place at this time. And then you go to, like, the neutral and be like, dude, please. Like, I got the girl. I just need you. All right? Just help me out.
But no, because what would happen is you do that. You'd be like, yeah, I've got a neutral. No, don't worry about it. I've got a neutral. It's fine. And then you get the girl home. About halfway through, you're like, is this neutral a hooker? No.
Did you pay? Did you pay for a stander? Because I imagine that's what they do. They just kind of, like, stand there, and, like, it's just their presence or, like, their pheromones that activate
It's just that presence just watching you. There are no third genders. It's just a whole species of people who can't get it on unless a weird androgynous child is looking at them.
Right. It's just a whole race of voyeurs. Just...
It's like that old joke. Have you heard that old joke about it's a really terrible joke. About the guy who goes to the guru because he's having trouble pleasing his wife, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He goes to the guru because he's having a really hard time pleasing his wife. Can't perform in bed at all. I hate jokes like this, but I do like this one. And the guru says, look, here's what you need to do. You need to get someone to stand behind you while you're making love and waggle a towel, like flop a towel at you, creating like a breeze.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, that'll do it. So he goes home and he tries it. He comes back to the guru the next day and he says, it's not working. It's not working at all. He says, well, how about I'll flap the towel, make sure it's going right, and I'll observe your performance, and I'll see if it's going right. So he comes and he does it. He's like, no, it seems to be fine. I don't know what's going wrong. And the guru says, maybe we should switch places. I'll make love to your wife and you flap the towel. And we'll see if there's a problem. So they swap places and the guy gets into it, and after about 30 seconds, his wife is screaming in pleasure, having the most wonderful time, and the guy shouts, see? That's how you flap the fucking towel!
That reminds me of a joke, too. Same setup. It's a pilgrim. And he can't please his wife, so he goes to the local Native American chief, and he's like Chief, man, I need some help. Like I can't please my wife. I don't last long enough. It's just over so quickly. And the chief goes, hey, don't worry about it. A lot of young braves grow through this. Um, but we have a solution, right? Before you go to make love to your wife, slap your dick against, a teepee pole 3 times really, really hard. Um, it'll, kind of deaden the sensation and you'll last longer. So the pilgrim's like, oh man, all right, yeah, that sounds great. So he goes home that night into his cabin and he's in the doorway and sees his wife laying there and he's like, all right, we're gonna do this. And he's just slaps his dick against the door frame 3 times really hard, just bang, bang, bang. And the wife jumps out of bed and she looks around and she goes, Chief, is that you?
Pretty funny. Like terrible.
So,
pretty funny.
We are going to have to start wrapping up pretty soon because I do have some stuff I had to
No,
take
go
care
for
of
it.
tonight.
See us out, John. Do it.
All right. No, I had time for a little bit more, but
No, we're over.
yeah,
We're not calling it a day. No, well, you can talk about whatever you want. I don't have anything else. I don't have anything exciting from the Mirror today. Although the Mirror did do something really gross. Like, I loaded up the Mirror to see if there was a story, and the headline was, Bloodthirsty mob takes over city streets, leaving trail of death and rape after police go on strike. It had also these hideous images of death and destruction, right? And I'm not saying this is less valuable as news, but then the first line of the story, once you click through, is, an explosion of violent crimes has hit the streets of Brazil after the military police went on strike. Like, couldn't you put in the headline it was in Brazil? You know?
Right.
Don't do that.
All right. So, well, okay. Before we end up, before we wrap up, we always do try to take at least 1 or 2 more questions. I see we don't have too many viewers this time around, but if you guys have a quick question or topic for us to discuss real quickly, now's your chance. Speak now. Forever hold your peace.
Fair enough. Yeah, do it. Hello. Hello. Hotel holidays or cruise. There you go. Well, I've never been on a cruise or a hotel holiday, so I couldn't tell you.
I've stayed in a lot of hotels, but I've never been on a cruise, so I'd have to go hotel.
We always did camping holidays as a kid. And as an adult, who can afford to go on holiday?
I actually plan on going on vacation very soon, actually.
So when was your last vacation where you properly went away and...
Oh, last vacation where I properly went away. Actually, it was last year around this time. I went to Chicago for... Wow. Was it 4 days? Yeah.
I haven't done that. If I get time off, I tend to spend it at home just because organizing stuff's kind of tricky and expensive. I don't think I've been on a holiday for like 10 years. Since I moved out of my dad's.
It's actually because me and my girlfriend went to Chicago. It was kind of a birthday thing for me because my birthday's coming up, and so it was around this time. And we went there specifically to go to some blues clubs because Chicago's known for the blues. And
aw, cheer up, Chicago.
So I thought it'll be okay. You'll get through it. So we went to Chicago just to see some music, basically. And there's one street in particular. I wish I could remember the name of the street, but there was 2 blues clubs, well-known blues clubs in.
I love it was just
Chicago.
called Blues Street.
Well, one of the clubs was just called Blues. It was BLUES, and there was periods in between of them, but I don't know what any of them stood for.
Fair enough.
And then there was the Kingston Mines. That was the other blues bar. But then there was also a reggae bar on the same street.
A what?
Which was a reggae bar.
I always thought you said a reggae bar, and I was like, "What's that?"
Yeah. it's a very bright gay bar. But
No, a reggae bar. Fair enough.
yeah, a reggae bar. And,
Was it jamming?
That was actually. Oh yeah, it was really cool, but it was kind of funny though because like my girlfriend is a woman of color, and so there's been a lot of experiences that I've had where I'm like the only white person in the room. And it's gotten very commonplace for me. It's something that doesn't even really register for me so much. And so we walk into this bar, and we're hanging out. I order a beer, and we're sitting down, and the music's playing. And it's good, and I'm getting into it. And me and my girlfriend decide to go out dancing, and we're dancing, and here's the thing. I'm a pretty decent dancer. My girlfriend is not. She is not a good dancer. So most of the time that I spent dancing was trying to just like keep her in line or keep her like in check, like cause she's just kind of going all over the place, and I'm like still trying to dance with her. And so I'm
gonna
sort of
send her this.
struggling with. So I'm sort of struggling with this, and all of a sudden there's this guy who sees this happening, and you just hear him go, "No, white boy, like this." And I look over, and he's dancing with his girlfriend in a very specific way. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to do, but I need some cooperation here." But when he said that, or he said, "No, like this, white boy," that's the first time I realized that I was the only white guy there. And when he said that, it drew solid 30 pairs of eyes to me.
And his friend behind you, Steve Whiteboy, was like, "You arrogant prick."
Like, "Fuck you, Jake, I know how to dance." But what's really funny about this whole situation, is the guy who said that, who called it, had this very distinct Jamaican accent. And I'm looking at him like, wait a minute, I recognize you. Because just like a half hour earlier, I was at the bar waiting to get a drink, and he was standing next to me, talking with the bartender, putting his drink in, without a hint of Jamaican accent. He's just like, yeah, I need 2 Jack and Cokes, a Budweiser, and I think Brian wanted a martini dry. And then he's on this dance floor. He's like, "White boy, no, like this." It's like,
Well, to be fair, if that's how he said it, I don't think that's a Jamaican accent either.
Sir.
I think that's French, isn't it?
I don't know. No, not the French Mafia again.
There's a great old episode of The Simpsons when, after Homer feels like he can't drink at Moe's anymore, he goes looking for a new bar. And he goes to these different bars, tries an airport bar where he accidentally gets roped into flying a plane, all these stupid gags. And there's one moment where you see him in a bar, and it's got the woman symbol on the front, and everyone else in the bar's a woman. And then they're all talking to each other, and it's got the disco music, the women dancing together, you know.
Yeah.
And it slowly settles in. And Homer's drinking, and he goes, "There's something wrong here." And then he just stands up and he goes, "This lesbian bar doesn't have a fire exit." And leaves. It's one of my favorite ever Simpsons jokes. There we go. We done?
Yes, Kids Dipman. I do remember that song.
Nugget, biscuit, nugget in a biscuit, dip it all in mashed potatoes. No, I don't.
Mashed potatoes. Oh, it's pretty good. It's nugget in a biscuit. Yeah, you look
Lars
it up.
says, series that you would rewatch with forgetting everything before watching it. Oh, like if you could wipe your memory of it and watch it again. Doctor Who. Actually, to be honest, can I just not rewatch it and wipe the memory of the last 5 years of Doctor Who? I just have that instead. Doctor Who. Or Battlestar Galactica.
This is gonna sound kind of funny.
Probably won't. You promised me that before. It's supposed to be a comedy show.
No, not funny, not funny, haha. But like a weird choice for me. How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
You ever seen that show Red Dwarf? Oh, sorry. You continue. I'll tell you this in a second. I thought you finished.
No, because that show, for being a stupid sitcom, and it was stupid at certain points. You know, it had all the typical sitcom humor, but it was also, when you look at it from a retrospect, it was very clearly constructed within an inch of his life. You never had there was never a point where I felt like they were like, oh shit, we don't know what to do for the next season. There was such a strict plan for that show. And I would love to kind of go back and see it unfold again.
I've never seen it. Should I watch it? Should I watch it through? It's on Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, what's really nice about it is, while it is a typical sitcom, it doesn't shy away from like inside jokes.
I like that
for long time viewers, because there's shit that pops
that's
up.
That's
in later episodes.
That's my favorite thing about Seinfeld. They're referencing things from season 1.
And,
so
and there's also bits in it where it kind of does the whole unreliable narrator thing,
right?
Where halfway through an episode, it'll just stop suddenly, and you'll hear Bob say, "Goes, wait, I got that wrong," and it'll redo the whole episode again. And
I love stuff like that.
It does a lot of really fun stuff with the format, and it's nice.
Whenever this question comes up, like wipe your memory and watch something again, it reminds me of this old Red Dwarf joke. Red Dwarf, in its early seasons, one of the characters is actually the ship's computer. And he's got a face on the screen and he talks, and he's supposed to be this super intelligent supercomputer, but he's been on his own for 3 million years, so his circuits are starting to fry a little. And there's an episode where he comes in and he says, I've done everything. I've read everything. I've read everything in the ship's library. I'm bored. I've got nothing to do. Will you go into my memory banks and delete the novels of Agatha Christie so that I can read them again? He goes, okay, so how do I do it? Just type hall mem, delete novels of Christie Agatha. So he types it in, he goes, and he says, I've done it. Done what? Deleted Agatha Christie from your memory. Deleted who? So you've just come in and asked me to delete all references to Agatha Christie from your memory. I don't remember doing this. Why would I ask you to do that? I've never heard of her.
All right, joke. Then. You have been listening to Those Aren't Biscuits. Lovely podcast and live stream.
Yeah, it's great.
I have been one of your hosts, Jonathan Cadotte. You can find me in other places, such as Twitter, at John C. Person.
And in the bushes outside your house at night. Ooh.
Can you leave some water out this time? I was a little thirsty last time. Or you can find me on my blog, which is johncperson.wordpress.com. And where can they find you, Owen?
Pretty much everything goes through my YouTube channel these days, youtube.com/Owen Adams. Then just go to any video and check the video description below, and you can get links to everything else I do.
All right. And you can listen to the show on... We have some information on these lovely signs behind Owen. He should turn around, and there you go, champ. You can find the show, our recorded episodes, on iTunes and Stitcher.
Yeah.
And you can follow us on Twitter at NotBiscuits. You
Yeah,
can also
do that
email
too.
us. You can email us at notbiscuits@gmail.com.
Believe
if
it.
you so choose. And, you know, if you happen to be listening at home on one of our recorded episodes, you can now tune in and watch us do this live every week on Monday, 3 p.m. Central, or 3:30 p.m. Central, 9:30 p.m. General Mountain
Mountain
Greenwich Mean
Time. Wherever you are in the world, if you are on a mountain, you are in
Generally, it's around this
GMT.
time.
Do you actually know what GMT stands for?
Greenwich Mean Time.
Yes, well done.
At 9:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And you can find it on our YouTube channel, which is Not Biscuits, 2 words. And that's our show. Have a good one.
Bye.